The turrets have undergone a massive change in grounded and just in time to take on the brand new wasps. Alright bags, it's Jade. I'm going to take you through everything you need to know about the changes so far, how 2 turrets have now become 1, but now's a huge choice and selection in ammo that you're going to be using to take down enemies in the sky or on the ground. Leave a like if you find it useful and let's go. So the Peblet turret and the Pollen turret are no longer. Instead, it's now called the Acorn turret. Unless anything changes, you'll unlock the Acorn turret when you complete the Haze laboratory and turn in the Virgil chip. If you've already unlocked the previous 2 turrets, you'll basically get 4,000 raw science returned to you. If you only manage to unlock one of them buying it with raw science, then you simply will have the Acorn turret automatically unlocked. You won't have to spend any more raw science. When you're in your turret, you can now see the health of the turrets. That makes a big difference, knowing when to get out and when to defend when enemies attack you. And you can now change the ammo by tapping the RB button or R on the keyboard. There's 5 brand new rounds. You've got the Rocky rounds. These are pretty much similar to what we used to have with Pebbles, and they're going to be pretty much doing just a regular attack. To craft it, you're going to need 25 Peblets and 3 acid glands, making a use of the acid glands, which previously have been stocked up, I'm sure, by a lot of players, as you don't really use them for much else. You'll get 25 in return rounds. Then we've got the new one, the Groundy rounds, and again this is pretty much the pollen shots before. 5 web fiber and 2 pollen will get you 15 of these rounds, and they're meant to be designed to take on enemies and stun them from the air. On the wasp here you can see it takes 2 shots to pretty much stun it and get it down. One of the biggest issues I had with the pollen shot before was in single player they weren't that amazing because you never had time to go and actually kill the bug when it was on the ground. But in multiplayer it means one of you can be manning this and your other friends can be going in for the kill and doing a lot better job now. They're not as good obviously against land creatures, but there is still a possibility you might find them useful. You can see here I still managed to stun this ladybird after a good few rounds. The pointy rounds are 20 thistle needles and 1 feather, again making good use of thistle since a lot of people in the mid-late game will be moving over to splinter. As usual, if you load them up inside a chest within the radius of the turret, they'll automatically take the ammo from inside. And by far this is the fun new method to go ahead and just obliterate creatures. I love how rapid it is. It's much faster obviously than the ground rounds or the pebble ones. So setting up traps where you've got bugs coming down a certain alley, plonking one of these down and you can really obliterate any creatures that's coming forward. The Sappy rounds are 5 sap and 2 salt shards, so even more reason you should have a sap farm up and running, and this will get you 15 Sappy rounds in return. These are meant to slow down creatures as you're fighting, particularly obviously ones in the ground rather than the air. The trick with a lot of these is to use them in combination. You fire a bunch of Sappy rounds at a large moving creature comes towards you or multiple, and then quickly switch to something that does more damage so you can slow them down and do high yielding damage after. You might have noticed the new buffs that appear underneath the enemies when you've hit them with something. You can see the slowdown on the wasp here. One other thing to point out is they have adjusted the aim. They've increased it so you can fire higher and lower. Even though I was still complaining it was still a bit too restrictive, it definitely is an improvement on what it was before. So the Rocky and Groundy rounds are tier 1, Sappy and Pointy tier 2, and then tier 3 is the Splody and the Berny rounds. Splody rounds aren't listed in the patch notes, so I'm not too sure if it's going to make it. I can't see why it wouldn't, but yeah, just a FYI in case it isn't actually in the game and they decide not to release it. But it's going to cost you 2 spiky burrs, 2 gunpowder clumps and 1 fungal growth, and you'll get 5 in return. That would be a massively cheaper cost than using grenades in certain spots, but I'll have to do some more further testing to see if it can indeed blow up. But I couldn't see why it wouldn't blow up rocks. But it does look like you can't actually get any kind of big nodes from it or take out any gum according to Discord. So yeah, I know my aim sucks trying to shoot an airborne creature with this. I kind of would like the area effect to be just a little bit bigger. You can see it does the job here. I'm just underneath it, but it did feel like you have to be pretty close to an enemy to get that explosion and damage effect. Obviously these do fire a lot slower. They are meant to be like the heavy artillery version. But at least they're not going to obviously just eat into any grenades that you've got back at your base. You have to craft rounds for them. And last for now, I don't think they're going to add anything more, is the Berny rounds. These will give you 10 back, but you do need quite costly stuff to make them. 2 Evercoal chunks, 3 rust and 1 boiling gland. Now maybe once you've got all of your ovens cooking, you're not necessarily going to need a ton more boiling glands, but it can be a pain in the arse getting them from obviously the bombardier beetles. And rust is easy enough obviously for tier 3 weapon. Charcoal, obviously with that also being required for the cement, I think this is an explosive and definitely expensive round. These guys really are pretty deadly though, for sure, so maybe worth that expense. Just look how much damage it will do and the burning damage afterwards. It wasn't immediately clear when I first started using them whether or not they would leave burning damage in their wake. So you fire one and then bugs would actually walk into it and be on fire, but it does look like it's meant to be point of contact when the round explodes. In my testing from live stream the other day, it did look like that would persist and that any creatures, including you, walking through it would start burning, but in a later patch note they have now clarified and said it should only burn when the actual round explodes on a target. Kind of like the idea of them actually having a lingering fire damage. That seems pretty cool to me, so maybe they'll adjust it again. Obviously another slow firing one, pretty much like the explodey ones. So great stuff. There's been a problem with these turrets. They've just not really been worth crafting or utilising, and now we've got all sorts of different ways we can. Like I said, mixing up the ammo seems to be the way to go. I would like a way to maybe upgrade the turrets themselves. Maybe we could add an extra layer of armour on them. Something a bit more fierce looking like Mad Max, as they're still pretty weak and susceptible, so that's going to be something I think we're going to have to try and design best ways to protect them. Certainly from airborne creatures will be a lot harder than just putting them up high from ground ones. These will be coming as part of the Super Duper update. This is still the PTB, but it should be going live very, very soon. And let me know what you think about these. Are you going to be now a bit more excited about using turrets? Is it going to be worth you crafting these ammos to keep handy for base defense mixers or more? Let me know. I'll see you rat bags later.